Only took him 9 days in a campus caliphate to emerge, but Joe Biden forcefully condemned anti-Semitism today, calling out Hamas standing up for Jewish students.
People are already forgetting. They're already forgetting that Hamas unleashed this terror. It was Hamas that brutalized Israelis. On college campuses, Jewish students blocked, harassed, attacked while walking to class. Antisemitism, antisemitic posters, slogans calling for the annihilation of Israel, the world's only Jewish state. It's absolutely despicable, and it must stop. Violent attacks, destroying property, is not peaceful protest. It's against the law.
Finally. Meanwhile, from the river to the red carpet, over 1,000 anti-Israel protesters looking absolutely stunning in their keffiyeh scarves as they tried to crash fashion's biggest night, the Met Gala. Sadly, the chic agitators were blocked by cops looking tasteful in blue from reaching the star-studded soiree. Denied entry, but undeterred in their cause, these fashion-forward activists opted to give a World War I memorial a criminal makeover by vandalizing it with graffiti reading Gaza in large black letters. They also burned an American flag, no surprise. Let's go now to liberal heavyweight Michael Moore, who is weighing in on the protests.
I applaud every student who's taken a stand on their campus, at graduation, whatever. This is the purpose of a democracy. Nonviolently disrupt. And when I'm talking about nonviolence, I'm not talking about, you do have the right to take over the administration building. So you have to take over buildings. That is not violence.
You know, Judge, he said he would want to take over the buildings with him, but he can't make it up the stairs. I thought that was kind of sad. You know, I have to say that was a strong comment by Joe Biden, but it took him a long time to get there. Should we hold that against him?
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something else. You know, he's good at reading. He reads and you think, oh, you know, he's coming around. He gets it. Here's the thing. He's a vessel. He is a vessel who literally says whatever they tell him to say and whatever they give him to read. But when he was answering directly on his way to Marine One, that is when he said, you know, there is no place for hate speech or anti-Semitism. And on the fly, he said, and I condemn those who don't understand the Palestinians. Mm-hmm. That's the true Joe Biden, who makes the moral equivalence. Mm-hmm. You know, it's anti-Semitism, it's Islamophobia. He doesn't believe what he's reading. That's not the real man. And the second thing is Michael Moore saying, oh, okay, go and take over buildings. That's criminal trespass. That's burglary. The guy knows nothing about the law. And in the end, they are using this free speech as an opportunity to literally shut everybody else up or either disrupt the campus or disrupt our lives. And it's not going to stop, by the way.
You know, Jonathan, it seems like since the George Floyd protests, I conflated words, that defacing monuments, tearing them down, is now actually incorporated into speech. Will there be any punishment or anything? I mean, that is actually criminal behavior, what they did. It's repulsive as well.
Not if history is any lesson. You know, that these charges haven't been coming. And of course, it's not free speech. Mm-hmm. Free speech generally ends when the criminal code begins. Mm-hmm. And what's really troubling about a lot of this stuff is to see the extent of the radicalization of students. Many of us have been complaining about this for years. You know, in my own campus this weekend, students were, a video surfaced where students were calling for a guillotine to chop the heads off the president and provost. Now, they thought that was funny, but it sort of captured how radical the rhetoric has become. But, you know, when you look at something like the monuments of the 107th Infantry from World War I, and you think about the sacrifice that they made and the sense of license that these students have, there is this disconnect that they're not only unfamiliar with what free speech really means, but they're unfamiliar with what sacrifice really means. Mm-hmm. And it's really troubling when you see Columbia just canceled their graduation.
Yeah.
And it was an act of academic cowardice. They said, look, these security concerns are insurmountable. Really? This is your campus. Mm-hmm. These are your students. Hold the damn graduation. Mm-hmm. Now, Michigan did that, and they interrupted it, but they held their commencement.
You're right.
And so what these students are hearing from these administrators is reinforcing this madness that we are experiencing on campus. And those of us that have to work on the campus have seen this for years. And this is the product of enabling these students. They think that they are right to silence others, destroy monuments, because they've been taught that.
Yeah, it comes from their instructors. Jesse, how come the media finds it beneath them to follow the money, like on who's funding this? If this was an anti-Muslim movement, Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC would be leading the charge.
Greg, they were combing through papers for 20 years of trying to find Russian money that went to Trump. They never found it. They never found a single foreign connection between Russia and the Trump campaign. And now there's money coming from overseas, from radical Muslim outfits. We've already figured it out. It's the Rockefellers, it's Soros, it's the Pritzkers in Chicago. And what happens is these kids are loaded up with CRT in high school, so they're all tuned up when they go in freshman year, and then you get these radical faculty members that tell them that the world consists of victims and victimizers. So they're all ready, and then an event happens, like a George Floyd or an invasion or anything, and then all of a sudden this money pours into these left-wing outfits, and there's actual revolutionaries that then descend onto the campus and train these kids how to fight cops and train them on riot tactics. And this is where we are right now. It's very similar to the way Muslims are radicalized in the Mideast. You get them young, disenchanted, upset with the status quo, single, and then all of a sudden you just blow their brains open with propaganda, and then what do you know? They rage. I used to live near that monument, the World War I one on the Upper East Side. I used to sit and look at it and read about it. It's just sad. We had a senior from Columbia and her dad on the show last night. She said after October 7th on campus, before Israel even struck back, the students were all like, yeah, Hamas, Israel hadn't even responded, and they were pro-Hamas. She said she saw ISIS flags, Nazi flags. The stuff she heard was crazy, and she's a straight-A student. She got an academic award, and she's so discouraged because she feels like when she hands an employer her resume and it says Columbia, they're going to discriminate against her.
Yeah, just say it's the country. That's what I do, Dana. I have to commend the police. They did an excellent job protecting the Met Gala. But it is interesting how well protected the Met Gala was, as opposed to so many. We have our bridges blocked, we have our tunnels blocked, but God forbid you interfere with the Met Gala.
Or like you can protect the Met Gala, but you can't protect Columbia's graduation.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. But that's Columbia's decision.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the NYPD's decision.
True.
And so the Met Gala, they're smart. They're like, let's utilize the NYPD because they know what they're doing to work with our security. I want to say something about Michael Moore. So he says, yeah, you have a right to do this. You got to check this out. I'm hoping that we can get it on the show tomorrow. There's a woman named Francesca Bloch. She works for the Free Press. She's a young woman who found the janitor who was held against his will at Columbia by those protesters at Hamilton Hall. And the guy who was arrested is 40 years old. He's not a student. He's a trust fund kid. Doesn't have a job. His job is the protest. $2.3 million brownstone that he owns in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And Mr. Torres, who was the janitor who was held there, and he said the school left them defenseless. They had to figure out a way to protect themselves. He noticed that the cameras had been covered. He said that they had a plan, that they came in and they swarmed. They had the zip ties, they had everything. And that's not even a student. And Michael Moore thinks that this is okay, that this is appropriate. And this guy now, he says, and you guys would love this guy. If you go on the Free Press and look at this interview that he did all the right things. In 2017, he found out he was going to be a dad. He got a good job with benefits. He got a shift that worked for him to be able to help take care of his family. If the kids were off school or if they got sick, it worked for him. He says he loves his job. He loves it, but he doesn't know if he can go back. He's afraid the university will retaliate against him. And he's not sure if they will protect him going forward. He said, and they're still there.
Interesting developments. Is he good at math?
Yes.
Why?
I'm just guessing.
Just a reference to Good Will Hunting. All right, coming up, her MAGA meal made her squeal. A former CNN reporter haunted after having dinner with secret Trump supporters.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.